Today is Thursday, March 17th. We'll detail some of the Ukrainian president's speech to Congress and President Biden's response to it, what he will and will not send to Ukraine right now. Also, a new trial for experimental HIV vaccines. We'll tell you how it's connected to the COVID shots. Plus, why your next plane ticket could be more expensive, and it's not just fuel prices. How Netflix may be cracking down on password sharing, and what to know about St. Patrick's Day today. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Ukrainian President Zelensky called on America to do more, and he called specifically on President Biden to be a, quote, leader for peace. In his virtual address to Congress, he asked lawmakers to remember Pearl Harbor when the sky was black from planes attacking the U.S., and 9/11 when, quote, evil tried to turn your cities into battlefields, and when innocent people were attacked from the air. He said that's what Ukraine is experiencing every day. So he once again made a plea for a no-fly zone over Ukraine, or at least for the U.S. to send Russian-made fighter jets from Poland that Ukrainian pilots know how to fly. Well, Biden didn't specifically respond to either of those requests yesterday. But remember, in the past, the White House has explained that a no-fly zone would mean the U.S. and NATO would need to enforce it, potentially firing on Russian aircraft themselves, and that sending certain fighter jets could be seen as a significant action that would escalate the war beyond Ukraine's borders. So in other words, the White House says either action could lead to World War III. But not all U.S. lawmakers agree. Some from both parties have pushed Biden to send the jets. And after Zelensky's speech, at least a couple lawmakers have said they don't want to take a no-fly zone completely off the table. For now, Biden says he's answering Zelensky's call for more help by sending $800 million in military aid to the country, including anti-aircraft systems, drones, and other weapons. That's on top of the $200 million Biden announced over the weekend. This money comes from the $13.6 billion in aid Congress already approved for Ukraine. Biden also called Zelensky's speech convincing and significant, and for the first time, he flat out called Russian President Putin a war criminal. New videos and reports from Ukrainians show a theater destroyed in the southern port city of Mariupol. And not just any theater. Hundreds of Ukrainians were apparently using it as a shelter. It's not yet clear how many people may have died, though Russia is denying it. To the north, Russian shelling hit the city of Chernihiv, where Ukrainians say at least 10 people died while they waited in line for bread. And Russian naval forces have bombarded towns outside of Odessa, a key port city on the Black Sea. Shelling also continues in other areas, including in and around the capital city of Kyiv. But even as the attacks keep coming, Ukraine continues to fight back. Russian forces trying to reach Kyiv on the ground have mostly stalled. And Ukrainian forces reportedly launched a counterattack near its capital and other key cities, including an airstrike on the Kherson airport, which is now a Russian airbase. All the while, peace talks are still going on. Both Russia and Ukraine still say there's hope for a compromise. The White House National Security Advisor also spoke directly with his Russian counterpart in what appears to be the highest-level talks between the U.S. and Russia since the invasion began. The U.S. warned Russia against using any chemical or biological weapons. And the United Nations highest court, often called the World Court, ordered Russia to stop military actions against Ukraine immediately. The ruling is legally binding, but still, it's mostly symbolic at this point, since it's unlikely Russian President Putin will listen. Putin did, however, make it clear in a speech he's cracking down even more on people in his own country who agree with or support the West. A powerful earthquake hit off the coast of Japan with shaking that lasted more than 2 minutes. Reports say the quake killed at least 4 people and hurt nearly 100 more. The 7.4 magnitude quake was near Fukushima. That's the site of the 2011 earthquake and tsunami that led to a nuclear plant meltdown. This latest quake prompted a tsunami alert again, but this time only a small wave reached the shore and the advisory was later lifted. Still, the shaking was felt as far away as Tokyo, and power was knocked out for more than 2 million homes. But at this point, most people have had their power restored. U.S. Justice Department confirmed it reached a multi-million-dollar settlement with the families of most of those killed or hurt in the Parkland, Florida high school shooting. Families of the victims had sued, saying the FBI failed to investigate a tip it got about the gunman's plans a month before he opened fire in 2018. Now, federal officials say the more than $127 million settlement closes 40 different cases connected to the shooting. But it does not mean the government is admitting any wrongdoing. The technology behind some COVID-19 vaccines is now being used in 3 new experimental HIV vaccines. The government is paying for this study, and the same company behind one of the COVID vaccines, Moderna, is manufacturing these shots. It's just an early-stage clinical trial at this point, so it'll mostly focus on tracking the safety of using what's called mRNA technology for HIV. But it could also provide the first clues on whether there's an immune response, too. About 100 adults who are HIV negative will take part in this study, and it's expected to wrap up next summer. The nation's top infectious diseases doctor, Anthony Fauci, called it an exciting opportunity to learn if the safety and success of the COVID shots can also be seen in the HIV vaccines, too. All right, we have much more news still coming up, but first, let's take a quick break to thank our sponsor. We can give you the news you need to know for the day, but when it comes to hiring for your business, you need a platform that's just as powerful in delivering quality candidates for your search, and that is Indeed. Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applications that meet your must-have requirements, or else you don't pay. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. I love that you can depend on Indeed. There's a reason it's the #1 job site worldwide. And according to Talent Nest, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. So start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/newsworthy. The offer is valid through March 31st. Go to Indeed.com/newsworthy to claim your $75 credit before March 31st. Indeed.com/newsworthy. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Your next plane ticket may cost you more than you expect. New data shows the cost of flying has been going up. Experts blame a couple of things. For one, more people are traveling again. Some airline execs said ticket sales are back to pre-pandemic levels, and that demand is higher than it's ever been. In fact, a recent analysis found the number of bookings last month was higher than the same time in 2019 before COVID hit. CNN Business reports the surge in demand means you may pay another $20 or so more for a $200 ticket. And the travel app Hopper found the average price of a round-trip ticket in the U.S. has gone up about 26% over the last year. Another possible reason for the rising cost to fly, the rising cost of oil because of Russia's war in Ukraine. Jet fuel is the second biggest expense for airlines. It seems Netflix is continuing an attempt to crack down on password sharing. Technically, in the streaming giant's terms of service, subscribers cannot share their accounts with people they don't live with. But Netflix has mostly turned a blind eye to it happening anyway. Well, now a new test in 3 countries hopes to encourage people to pay a bit more for the practice while still charging less than the price of an entirely new account. Netflix will prompt some customers to add accounts for up to 2 people outside of their households for this fee. The test is set to roll out in the next few weeks in Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru. The test won't be in the U.S. yet, but depending on how these tests go elsewhere, it could be coming. Meta is giving parents more control of how their kids use its social media and virtual reality. First, new features launched this week on Instagram. Now parents can see how long their kids spend on the app and get updates about who their kids follow and who follows them. The new parental controls come after leaked research from the company showed the app can affect young people's mental health. Even U.S. lawmakers have voiced their concerns. The head of Instagram now says the new features are just one step on a longer path to protect kids. And it's not just Instagram. Parents will soon get more control over the company's Quest VR headsets, too. Meta says starting next month, parents will be able to lock their children out of certain apps or games that are too mature. And eventually, they'll be able to see what VR apps their child has downloaded, get alerts when they buy, and more. The company hopes to bring these new controls for all of its apps and products into one dashboard in the future. One of the most iconic landmarks in the world is now even taller than before. Tourists watched this week as a new digital radio antenna was helicoptered up and attached to the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France, adding an extra 20 feet. So the structure now stands at 1,083 feet. The Eiffel Tower company's president told the AP this is a historical moment. He pointed out that the tower has been a partner for all radio technology ever since radio was first invented. Yep, the Eiffel Tower has been around now for more than 130 years. Here's your reminder to wear something green today because it's St. Patrick's Day. From today's parade in New York City to the Chicago River turning green last weekend, there's no shortage of celebrations here in the U.S. And it's welcomed after 2 straight years where the pandemic put a pause on events or kept them virtual. Many restaurants throughout the country are also celebrating with special menus, discounts, or freebies. But beyond green beer and shamrock shakes, what's actually behind the holiday? It started off as a Christian holiday in Ireland, celebrating the life of St. Patrick, who helped to spread the religion. It was immigrants to the U.S. who transformed it into more of just a fun celebration of all things Irish. As for all the green, well, it's a symbol of Irish nationalism, and of course, there's the mythical belief that green makes you invisible to leprechauns. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, a quick word from our sponsor, Masterworks. We all know Oprah Winfrey is a role model, icon, and billionaire media mogul. But our sponsor, Masterworks, points out she's also an art investor. In 2006, Oprah reportedly purchased a painting by Gustav Klimt at Christie's for an astounding $88 million. Then she resold it for $150 million in 2016. That's a staggering $62 million in profit. She's not necessarily doing it because she's rich. From what I can tell with everything she does, she's a business genius. So why doesn't everyone get involved in the blue chip art market? Of course, most don't have millions to buy paintings outright, like Oprah. But thanks to the company Masterworks, the high-cost barrier has come crumbling down. Now you can invest in masterpieces by Picasso, Warhol, and Banksy without building a media empire first. And yes, they're giving the Newsworthy listeners access. So what are you waiting for? Head to masterworks.art/newsworthy to learn more. That's masterworks.art/newsworthy. See important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.io/CD. Now back to Thing to Know Thursday. And today's Thing to Know is what not to do when gas prices are at record highs. Experts say avoid letting your gas level go below a quarter tank. You might think waiting a bit longer to fill up will stretch a tank of gas and save you money, but apparently it could actually cost you more. Why? A repair systems expert at AAA says letting the gas level in your car get below an eighth of a tank raises your odds that you'll actually damage your fuel system. He says each time you fill your gas tank, you get particles and sediment that settle at the bottom of your tank. So if you run the gas too low, you could get some of the sediment into your fuel system and clog up your fuel filter or fuel injectors. That could spell engine trouble, which could end up costing you hundreds of dollars by the time you leave the repair shop. So he says play it safe and refill when you're down to a quarter tank. There are also some other ways to save on gas right now, like watching your tire pressure. Experts warn if it's too low, it could decrease your gas mileage. Also, clean out your car. Unload the stuff that could weigh your car down, including taking off luggage carriers that sit on the top of your car. And consider filling up earlier in the week. According to a 2019 Gas Buddy report, fuel is typically cheaper on Monday or Tuesdays. All right, thank you so much for listening today. We are so grateful you turned to us to help keep you informed. We'll be back with much more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.